All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Conviction Fiction Podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Rivers, and today we have an inspiring guest whose story truly embodies the spirit of second chances. On today's show, Claudia Shivers is a remarkable woman who turned her life around after incarceration. She's the owner of a thriving coffee shop in High Point, North Carolina, where she's built a community hub that offers much more than just a great cup of coffee. Claudia is also a board member for Inmates to Entrepreneurs, an organization that helps formerly incarcerated individuals start their own businesses, offering them tools and support they need to create new opportunities. So, as always, the journey isn't always, going the way we want it. So like so many others, um, Claudia has faced the overwhelming challenges of reentry, stigma, limited opportunities, getting funding, right? We need funding and the daily struggle just to prove herself. Yet through grit, determination, and unwavering commitment to change, she has found a way to not only rebuild her life, but also use her experience to inspire others. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into the conviction fiction. Hey, Claudia, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to dive into your story, your journey into entrepreneurship. How's it going?
It's going amazing. I'm excited to share. Here, what we're going to talk about. Maybe we
All
can
right,
get
that's great.
somebody
That's
hyped.
great. Yeah, yeah. And you're based in High Point, North Carolina,
I
correct?
am.
Okay, awesome. So just gonna just get right into it. Just gonna
Okay.
get right into it because I know you before you got on, you said you had just got off work and closed the shop up and everything like that. But to start, can you share just a little bit about your life before incarceration? And more so than that, what were some of the key moments that led you to everything?
Before incarceration, my life was. I would think it was perfect, but obviously it wasn't, right? But so I was a mom at 17. By 19, I had two children and I was working two or three jobs. I needed to make more money. So I started doing taxes. That did taxes for over 20 years. And at some point for the last few offices, I partnered with some guys. We had a crew of people who, everything just didn't work out too good. So I
Right.
was indicted for a conspiracy to commit tax fraud. Um, and like I said, if you'd have asked me before that day, I would have thought everything was going perfect. Right, I was making the right amount of money, that kind of thing. Um, but I mean, clearly everything wasn't going great.
Right.
And hindsight being 2020, at some point you get so caught up in your own world and you become so insulated. You're away from things and people who kind of keep you grounded. So you let things slide that you shouldn't let slide, and you overlook some things. And then if the money is really good, you overlook a lot of things. So
Right.
so about 2018, May 31st, 2018, found out I was being indicted for well, it was a listed charge, like because they don't, the feds don't hit you with one or two charges, they give you about 20 and then let you argue it down.
Right.
Um
Right. See
so
which
about
one's gonna stick the best, right? See which
Right,
one.
right. So I got it down to just the conspiracy to commit tax fraud. Took a plea. I was sentenced to 21 months in federal prison. I went to Alderson, West Virginia. Lucky for me, there was a pandemic. Nobody else think it was lucky, but the pandemic allowed people who had served at least 50% of the time to be able to come home a little early. I mean, you had on an ankle monitor, but you're still home, right? So,
Right.
but while I was gone, I wrote the business plan for Queen Coffee Bean, and here I am now.
There we go. That's inspiring. So during that time, I know it was a couple of months. Well, months, anytime in prison is crazy.
Right.
What was your experience like during your time incarcerated? And then how did you maintain a sense of identity while navigating all those challenges?
Oh, I don't know about if I had a sense of identity. I don't know. I don't know if I had that because you kind of don't want to stand out. I mean,
Right.
I did 10 and a half months, and I feel like if I'd have done 12 or 13,
Mhm.
then I have a lot of what do you call it, like a lot of things to unpack and to, to build. I need to build myself back up because
Thank
it's hard to be who you are on the outside on the inside, because there's no way you survive as the person on the outside on the inside. And while I mean it's federal prison, it was a camp, and I had a white collar crime, so most people would just assume that it's like easy. But anytime in involuntary isolation away from the environment you're used to, is going to be a hard time, right?
you.
um so I was able to make it because you have to humble yourself, right? Because of course I was like, this is me, I'm Claudia Shivers, I don't belong here, but that's what everybody says, right? So
Right.
unless you just was out committing all the crime and just don't care, and that's your life, and then you thinking, well, I was going to end up here one day anyway. See, unless that's what you were doing, and most people aren't, right?
Mhm.
Then you think this isn't where I'm supposed to be. But there was a young lady who one day she said, hey, you going down to get something to eat with us? It was like my first week or so. And I said, nah, I'm not. What I was thinking was, no, I'm not going down there with criminals. That's what I was really thinking, right?
Right.
But she said, well, I tell you what, I don't know what you did to get here, but no matter who you think you are, you in here with us. You were the same place with us. And I was like, dang, well,
That's kind of hard hitting, but yeah.
your little reality check there,
Yeah, yeah. That was my next question. I was like, was there a particular moment or some type of influence that sparked a change in your perspective while you were inside? And there
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
There it
that was
is.
because the thing is, you don't know anything unless you've been jailing all your life, or unless you just been to prison back and forth, you don't know what you're
Mm.
doing, right? So what I learned is some people know that they're going and they got family members that's being, so they put money on their books before they get there. They got a plan before they get there. And I didn't know anything because I didn't know a lot of, I probably knew one or two people who had gone to prison before that point. So you learn to see people as people, right?
Yeah.
You learn to see yourself in everybody else, so then it causes you to become more compassionate. Also you learn not to judge anybody, because to somebody my crime is terrible, and to me somebody else's crime is terrible. But at the end of the day, we all in a situation where we don't want to be. A lot of women who are moms, who are daughters, who are wives, and while you're separated from your family, you don't know what your kids are doing and what they're going through. You don't know what your husband is doing, and what, because that'll make you go crazy. You don't
Right.
know, people's moms dying because they were taking care of their mom while, before they got arrested. So now their mom is in bad health, or their mom dies, and you can't get out to go to the funeral, that kind of stuff. So you looking at somebody, it don't matter what the charges are. Somebody could tell you like she a stone cold killer, but when a mama died and she's sitting there crying, that's not who you're seeing.
Right.
Um
So what helped you like see beyond that? Like what helped you envision like a future beyond that incarceration while you were on there? What was there a prize or something that you saw that kept you motivated?
but I tell you what, so I am the master of falling halfway down in a hole and then pulling myself back up. I just need to learn how to avoid the hole, right? So so I was like, okay, I done had some setbacks before. I know how to bounce back. Let me just work my plan. So when I found out I was getting indicted, I actually was working at a school, had the
Mhm.
tax office on the side, and I had recovered from breast cancer that I had like 4 years earlier.
Awesome.
So I had my money put up, everything. So when I found out I was being indicted, I I had to come up with a plan, because I was thinking there's no way I can come back home to
Mhm.
nothing, right? Like a
Right.
lot of people do. Come back home, you don't have a place to live, you don't have any money. So I I left money in retirement accounts, and then I started figuring out what I could do. So I'm saying it like real like sweet right? But really, I was sitting home crying every day, like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I think we all cried a little bit sometime in our life for real.
And
Um,
so one of my daughters said to me, "Hey, why don't you go to Starbucks? They got a 4 a.m. shift, and that'll give you something to do. So pretty much you won't be able to cry because you'll be at work, and then when you get off, you'll be sleepy, right?" So I went to Starbucks, and I was depressed for a while, and that's why I was on pretrial. But then I started learning the business of Starbucks, and I asked somebody, "Hey, why aren't there more Starbucks in the hood, right? Or
right.
in at least in black neighborhoods, and ain't even got to be a poor neighborhood, just black." And they said because there's not enough consistent money in coffee in black neighborhoods. Okay, now I'm pretty sure they weren't speaking for the company, but that's what they said. So I
Right.
started thinking of a way that I could introduce coffee into neighborhoods where people thought that there was no opportunity. So I call it the Jordan market, right? So people think it's no money, but they buying Jordans. So if they could spend
Right.
$120 on a pair of sneakers, they could buy a cup of coffee, right? So I
Right.
started working on a plan from there. So I thought about the best point of entry into the coffee market, and that was roasting beans, right? So you roast it and you sell it. And then when I went to prison, I actually would sit around with some people that were there and run my ideas by them, because what else we're gonna talk about. And they was, we was talking about different strategies, right?
Mhm.
So I tell you who knows really how to buy something and cook it up and distribute it, right?
You're in the right place for that.
Right. So so I just ended up writing plans, like a rough draft of a plan. I had some sketches, what the
Mhm.
buildings would look like and everything, because I would go to psychology to get the free journals and then write
Mhm.
in there. And because we didn't have a copier, somebody would like copy it, like I would write it and then they would copy it for me. Somebody else would copy it just so I wouldn't just have the one copy. So
That's crazy. So starting a business isn't easy for any one of us, but especially after incarceration. For what I understand, you started building on that, knowing full well what you were about to face. So you
right,
started putting the foundation down, and you just honed it a little bit, but
right.
got more inspiration from the inside. So, what do you say was the? I know we talked early, and we all know funding is always tricky.
Right.
But what were some of the other hurdles you faced when you first opened the business?
Oh yeah. So when I first came home, I had on an ankle monitor and it was pitch contest. And because it was the pandemic, people were doing
Mhm.
everything on Zoom. So I was in pitch contest and I'm just pitching, and pretty much people were saying it sounds like a great idea. We just don't trust that you can do it. Right.
Mm,
And like some people literally laughed, like, how are you gonna start a coffee business? How are you gonna start a coffee shop? How are you gonna compete with Starbucks? So building up my credibility, trying to find somebody to help me learn how to get into the coffee business, because of course nobody wants to tell you if they're doing well. They don't want to tell you, right?
right.
Um, and then what they will do is take the resources that you introduce to them and not give you anything back. So
Mm,
I've had a lot of people kind of string me along. Oh yeah, I'll help you, but not actually follow through. Anybody, like some people, if they wanted to buy something from me, they might
mhm.
want to buy it at a discount because they're kind of doing it as a favor.
Right.
People want to give you exposure, not cash. So can we, will you come bring coffee to our event and it'll give you exposure, right? So I
Right.
had to learn to start telling people exposure don't pay the rent. As soon as Duke Power start taking exposure for the light bill, hey, y'all could book me for exposure all day. We actually did vendors markets. Some people like will have a vendors market and then you pay them, and it might be maybe 20 people that show up at the vendors market, and
Right.
so you don't have any sales and you can't get any money back, but they know that you don't know. They know what you don't know, right?
Mm,
So
right.
acquiring product, trying to figure out what is an unroasted coffee bean, what is a green coffee bean, where do you get these things from, how do you, what is MOQ? So I had to learn minimum order
Oh,
quantity. Where do you get, how are you supposed to, where do you get the money to buy at least 100 pounds of coffee you don't even know what you're gonna do with it, right? So where you gonna get the money? Where you gonna get $500, $600, $700 to buy beans with no roaster, right? So because that was the first pitch. How can I? Will y'all give me money for a roaster? And some people don't even know beans have to be roasted, right? So they were like, "We're not giving you $25,000, right?" So I started with a popcorn popper. So the little red popcorn popper, the little thing go around real slow.
So like a popcorn popper
Orville
for
Redenbacher.
your house. Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh. So, so
God.
so then I was roasting on that. I was setting off the smoke detector because coffee beans give off gas, and I didn't know that. So I was popping the lid off the popcorn popper. So that was crazy.
Yeah.
I burned myself on some of the popcorn poppers because it would like shoot the beans out at you. So then
Oh my
yeah,
jeez.
it was
So
crazy.
so with your personal journey, has that shaped the way you run the coffee shop? Like
Yes. Yes. Yes,
okay.
because first of all, I try to keep it as inclusive, and I don't want to say tolerant because we don't just tolerate people. I try to make it as inclusive and welcoming as possible, right?
Yeah.
And like low stress. So the lights are kind of low. It's a chill kind of vibe inside the shop. And the main purpose for the shop originally was to roast beans, just be somewhere to roast beans that's not in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
But then so we added seating. So we've got couches and we've got cafe tables, and we keep music playing, but it's all like, like neo soul or 90s
Yeah.
R&B,
Yeah. Nice little
something.
vibe. Yeah.
Right. So then since it's Queen Coffee Bean, we got the Queen's Corner, then we got the King's Corner. But I tell you what that does is like, okay, so the Queen's Corner, obviously for Queen Coffee Bean, but my boyfriend helped me move all the furniture in the building. Well, he didn't help me, he did it. And he was like, I know if you get in the corner, I'm getting the corner, right? But then like the corner literally has a sign up that says LaRon's King's Corner. So that means that when he come in, he has a sense of pride and a sense of ownership
Right.
in my space. So it's not like he rocking with me and it's my thing. Now it's our thing, right? So when his
Right.
friends come through, then they feel a sense of pride. So they're, so everybody collaborates. Whenever I have a new idea, can somebody help me build a bar? Can somebody help me paint the room? Can somebody lay the floor? Like everybody is helping because they feel a connection because they have a space there. So they feel like, we might not know about coffee the way somebody super sophisticated might, but we
Mhm.
can learn, and it's a safe space where we could chill out and and drink a frap and
Mm.
not care that it's not really coffee, and it's got
Right.
coffee ice cubes
It's
in
a
it.
community. It's a
Right,
community spot
right,
now, right?
right.
That's awesome. Now, with inmates to entrepreneurs, what role did inmates to entrepreneurs play in your journey? Because I know you're kind of on the board now.
So when I first came home, we had cubes in West Virginia. So I
Yeah.
was in 13 lower, and the cube was up against the wall, and then so I used to always sit sit on the bed in the corner, right? So when I came home for a little minute, I was just sitting in my room in the bed in the corner. So I saw online, I was looking on Facebook one day, inmates entrepreneurs go through this program, and I was like, well, I was an inmate. Now I'm an entrepreneur. Why not? Right. So I did an 8-week class, and for the eighth week, they asked me to be a speaker. So I spoke, but it couldn't have been but so good because what was I gonna say? Right.
Yeah.
But the founder, Brian Hamilton, who founded Inmates Entrepreneurs, he actually, for some reason, he liked something that I said, and he had somebody to call me, and because they were the ones that suggested if you can't get $25,000 for a coffee roaster, try something different. So that's how I got to the popcorn popper. But then he had somebody call me to do an interview. So this woman named Catherine called me to do an interview, and what I found out is that it was for a TV show called Free Enterprise. So it's on Free Enterprise, about people formerly incarcerated people who start their own business. Season 1, episode 3. Oh, I'm Claudia Shivers.
Oh my
so,
God. And
so,
we're hungry. We're hungry. So, oh
so
my
I did that. Did the show.
Mm.
So people started ordering beans again.
Okay.
I had that popcorn popper, right? But people started ordering
Popping. It
beans.
was popping now.
What? But let me just tell you how that is not wonderful, because the beans, it take you like 2 hours to roast a pound of beans, and people being nice, they ordering 3 and 4 pounds, and then they like sending you messages like, I didn't get my order. Where the order at? Oh, it's a felon. She don't even know how to. She lying. She's
Oh, wow.
fraud. That type thing, right? So
Yeah.
then you gotta learn on the fly how to, you got to pivot. Like, okay, that's one popcorn popper. Now what we're gonna do now? So I burned through several popcorn poppers, and finally these guys at Showroom Coffee up in Brooklyn said, "Hey, we got a coffee roaster for you. We'll discount the price. You can make payments." And so that's how I like officially got started. But it was all because they saw me on the TV show and knew I was trying to give back, and they knew the whole story. But it was crazy.
It sounds crazy. Now, how did you handle all that? Because I know there probably were some moments you was like, man, I, let's go back to Starbucks. I mean, we're
I,
those moments like that.
I actually went back to Starbucks before the television show aired, and I was talking to my manager, and I was like, because I actually had fun at Starbucks before I left, but after the pandemic, it was just different. And my manager told me before I left, she was like, because she didn't know anything about me being indicted or anything. So Starbucks will hire people without like I guess they don't check your criminal record, or if they do,
Right.
they make a decision, right? So when I was there, my manager told me that my attitude was wonderful and it changed the atmosphere of the store. And 1 week they made $50,000, right?
Hmm.
Right. So I said, well, 50,000 for Starbucks, I can make 5,000 for myself and I'll be good, right? So when I came back home, I was like, well, while I'm waiting to get my business started, I'll go back to Starbucks. But I was in the drive-through window and it was cold. My fingers was turning blue, but I was nice in that drive-through window. Like I could get you from the intercom pulling off with your drink perfectly in 36 seconds. Okay. So I'm at the window. My phone is buzzing in my back pocket. His orders coming in. So I'm looking like
For Queen Coffee.
right. So I told my manager 2 weeks earlier, hey, listen, I don't want nobody else to tell you, but I did a TV show. I don't know when it's gonna come out, and I'm selling coffee. I don't know if it's a conflict, but I'm not gonna stay. So this might be the 2 week notice. And she was like, okay, well, if you need anything, let me know. I bet. So I had told her the day before, hey, you scheduling me too long because I would be there at 4, but she had started scheduling me to like lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 4 to 12 is sick. 4 to 10, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna get y'all done. I'm gonna go home, take a nap. Then I'm back up. I can do Queen Coffee Bean. But 4 to 12, I'm passing out and I'm not waking up till 5. Right. So I
Right.
was like, listen, it's cold in this drive-through. I'm gonna need to. Can somebody else come over here? What's up? I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna get back to you. Soon as she let me out there drive-through, I had made what I was gonna make in 2 weeks. I had made it in an hour, and I went and got in the car, and I didn't go back. That was it.
Go back.
Right,
Man, now that takes a lot of courage right there to just walk out. I mean, you walked out for the right reason. It's for your dream, right?
right.
Um, so now let's talk with inmates to entrepreneurs. I know you kind of serve on the board there, but if you could give advice to someone currently navigating like the whole reentry process, got their dream, but they just don't they haven't even fully started to believe it yet. What would you tell them um from where you coming from?
You know what? I would tell them first, read some books. Like, and you can read and act at the same time. You can read and do at the same time. But read some books because you gotta reprogram yourself, and it's gonna be so hard that it'll crush you if you don't learn how to build a strong foundation at the same time that something might be falling down, then you're not going to make it, right? So you have to become the master of doing 7 things at one time, right? And I don't mean overwork yourself, but your your standard of what working of hard work, it has to be different than just the average person, right? So I look at it like I gotta shovel dirt out of a hole faster than somebody throw the dirt in the hole, right?
Mm.
And And if you become that good, then you could do anything else. So if you're going to start a business, first of all, just assume it's going to be hard. And it's probably going to be the hardest thing you ever did, because you got to, entrepreneurship is like building a muscle. And the only way you build any muscle is to work it. And you got to keep working it. And at some point, something will just pop, like, something will pop, and then it'll just be smooth, right? So I tell people when they come in the shop and they like, how do you like it? How long you been here? Yeah, almost 4 years. So first year, you like, I gotta do something. I gotta get, I gotta paint these walls. And you don't, commercial paint costs different than house
Yes.
than house paint, so
Yes.
you gotta, you gotta, you're a whole different person the first year. The second year, you like, okay, I got that done. Oh, that wasn't enough. So second and third year, you kind of like, am I crazy? Like, why am I even doing this? Like, what was I thinking? Fourth year, you so used to the chaos and the nonsense. You like, oh yeah, what, easy. Like,
Another day of work. Another
yeah,
day of
it's
work.
nothing. Yeah. So like, because somebody gonna give you a bad review, okay, cool, right? So get more good reviews, bad reviews, but you got to keep going. Like, you never can stop. Like, your feet can't never stop, right? Because the
Right.
moment it stops, then you let whatever's chasing you catch up to you, and then it'll outpace you, right? So I always say, WWJD, what would Jay-Z do, right?
What would Jay-Z do? Okay.
Yes, yes. So you go back and you listen to Can't Knock the Hustle, like put on the first Jay-Z record, and then
Yeah.
think about him going to the stations and paying the people to put his music on, and think about everybody calling him ugly, and then think about where he is now. And
Yeah.
nobody could tell him nothing. In his mind, you could talk all the trash you want to, but
Yeah.
his resume speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
So, but I probably just told my
Shout out
age,
to
but
Jay.
right. And you don't have to idolize somebody to use
Mhm.
a little piece of what they've done as an
Right.
example, right?
No, I
And
just learned to respect it. I mean, for
right,
real, if the
right,
steps that they took, I mean, you would, I mean, I don't care where a person is, but if they're at a certain stature, certain level, and you've seen them like
right,
from behind the scenes, you don't know everything, but
right,
you've seen the progress, right? You can't do nothing but respect it. I mean,
right,
um, even like for you, like you can't do nothing but respect someone that had an Orville Redenbacher pop machine and doing all this stuff now. And that's my next question. Looking ahead, what's next for you? Do you have any projects or any other ventures that you're excited about?
So first thing is, we finishing a tasting room. We building out a tasting room in the back of the coffee shop. Okay,
Mhm.
so that we could do private coffee tastings, private bourbon tastings, private drink tastings. Because I have a whole recipe book that my intention is to be able to sell recipes to restaurants, to other coffee shops, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
it's
Um,
a brand. You the branding.
that's right.
Now there
That's right.
you go.
That's
That's
right.
oh,
So, and then, so then the next thing, after we build out the tasting room and we get that jumping, then the next thing we're going to do is open a second and third location. So I'm thinking about two more in North Carolina, but not any more than two, and then going outside of North Carolina,
okay.
and then
Franchise.
yeah, but the goal is to sell the beans. So pretty much sell weight. That is the intention. Sell weight.
Now, do you have K cups? You sell K cups
Not
too?
yet, not yet. But
Okay.
my intention is to build a luxury coffee brand, right?
Mhm.
So you want this because you feel like everybody can't just get it, right? So
Mhm.
my coffee comes in gold coffee bags. So what I'm working on right now is what I call the Jordan standard, right? So the standard is 23. Everything that you do got to go out of here and it's got to be immaculate. So the boxes now, when people get their orders, it comes in a gold box, right? With the gold
Mhm.
coffee bags. And when you open it, you feel like nobody else can get this, right?
Yeah.
We working on merch and getting that out. And then I want to do I'm working on a partnership with some women, because the next thing I want to do is, like, since now everybody knows me for coffee and drinks, so we're working on building a brand for thirst trap, right? So go along
Okay.
with to go along with Queen Coffee Bean, because Queen Coffee Bean, right? So we like a queen pin for coffee, right? Play a little Curtis Mayfield in the shop from time to time, push them in. But then thirst trap, like we trapping the drinks, right? So it's a group of women that really know how to make great delicious beverages, because we don't really call them drinks, we call them delicious beverages, right? So a group of women that are serious about making delicious beverages, but also that helps me help other people build a business for themselves. So these are women that already were working on, like, they're either bartenders or somehow they want to build their own beverage brand. So it's just us working together, right? And then so somebody want to if you want somebody to do drinks at your party or your event,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I call them, and I heard somebody else call them, I don't know who, so I didn't make it up, but calling like star tenders, right? So you want somebody, a bartender that really knows what they're doing. And we got our own recipe. So when we come in, we got a menu that nobody else has, right? So how you will hire the hottest DJ, and you could call us, and then that's what we bring you with the drinks. So pretty much, my intention is to blow the beverage industry out of the water. Okay.
Exactly.
So and so
Right.
so distribute the so build a logistics arm to distribute the coffee beans, because see, this employs a lot of people, because it's a lot of people when they come home, they get their CDLs because they can, right? Well,
Right. Right.
what if they transporting the beans for me, right? What if they transporting the beans for Queen Coffee Bean, right? And then if you got a bunch of people who, I mean, they already, a lot of people don't want to sit down and study or go to work, sit in office all day, but they can go out and they can serve these drinks, and then they got great personalities. Now they making tips, they making all the money they need to make, because a lot of times the problem is the money come too slow, right? But if you can make that money come fast, then it kind of decreases the rate of recidivism. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
It's
nobody's
across
going
the
to say,
board.
and then but nobody's ever going to say, like, when we show up to make drinks at your party, and then everybody loved the drinks and they come into your next event because they loved how those drinks were, you're not going to say, now, is anybody in here got a criminal record?
Right.
Anybody ever going to think about it? So my goal, the next steps and going forward, is to build the brand of Queen Coffee Bean, but also, like, market myself as the person who, if you need to quench your thirst, this is who you need to call.
That's who
And
you need to
then
go to.
yeah, and then at some point I'll teach it, be a consultant, that kind of thing. Things that people do when they start chilling, somebody could pay you a lot of money so you can come tell them how to do it.
Right, right. That's what the money at for real. Now,
Right,
this you have given like a powerful reminder that reentry isn't just about surviving; it's about thriving.
right,
And you've shown that with your coffee shop, and even with the new ventures with the beverages, and your ongoing work with the inmates to entrepreneurs, you still kind of help out there.
right.
I thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. Now, of course, on the show's socials, we're gonna talk about Queen Coffee Bean, of course.
Mhm.
Do you guys like online? Do you like deliver out of state? All that kind of stuff. Y'all pretty
So
much distribute.
so still to this day, at least
Mhm.
80% of my people are from outside of High Point, but definitely, but also outside of North Carolina. So we
Okay.
definitely ship. We ship online. So if you go online and you place an order, then we ship
Yep.
to wherever it is. And it's a lot easier too now, because since we have the store, people can come in and pick up an order. So we ship. You can go to queencoffeebean.com. Um, and we are on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And I'm on TikTok, but I don't really know how to use it yet. But you know,
Yeah,
and
TikTok kind of.
yeah, and I'm on Threads for some reason. I don't know how,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
even know really.
Haven't really caught that wave myself yet with
Yeah.
threads. Um, but for our listeners today, Claudia's Path is a perfect example of how a second chance can lead to great things, both for the individual and with the community. So be sure to support her coffee shop and the work she's doing to uplift others in the reentry space. But before we go, a quick reminder: go ahead and subscribe to the Conviction Fiction Podcast. Like, share, comment on all of our socials. Your support helps us to continue to amplify these types of stories, which are very important. Also, don't forget to grab the book, No Turning Back. That's the newest one out. It's packed with stories and lessons from my own reentry journey. Again, this is Antoine with the Conviction Fiction, and thank you so much, Claudia, for coming on. You got to come back sometime. You
Okay,
got
just
to.
let me know.
All right. Stick around for a minute. We're gonna wrap it up here.
Okay.
Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next week on the Conviction Fiction.